From the PEP Radio Newsroom, this is the News Blast for this hour. California Attorney General Rob Bonta filed a lawsuit against the Department of Justice on Monday for issuing a letter demanding that California's public school districts and the California Interscholastic Federation revoke their allegedly unconstitutional trans inclusion policies by June 9th. The letter was sent by Harmeet Dillon, the Assistant Attorney General for the Department of Justice's Civil Rights Division, who California named as a defendant in the lawsuit. In her letter, Dillon claims that the Equal Protection Clause in the Constitution's 14th Amendment prohibits discrimination on the basis of sex, and that California's trans-inclusive school sports policies and anti-discrimination statutes are knowingly depriving female students of athletic opportunities and benefits on the basis of their sex would constitute unconstitutional sex discrimination under the Equal Protection Clause. Despite this claim, the Equal Protection Clause has been successfully used to challenge laws and policies that discriminate against transgender individuals, including in the United States Supreme Court's 2022 Bostock v. Clayton County ruling, which declared anti-LGBTQ plus workplace discrimination as a form of sex-based discrimination. This legal precedent hurts the Department of Justice's argument against California, especially since President Donald Trump has tried to separate sex and gender in Executive Order 14168, titled Defending Women from Gender Ideology Extremism and Restoring Biological Truth to the Federal Government, which directed the federal government and federally funded organizations altogether to deny the existence of trans people and gender identity in favor of, quote, biological sex. In other words, the sex assigned at birth. California's legal filing claims that compliance with the Department of Justice's letter would require the state to violate the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment, as well as California's anti-discrimination laws. The Department of Justice's certification demand letter would require California and its LEAs, or law enforcement agencies, to discriminate against transgender girls in K through 12 school sports by categorically excluding them from girls' sports, Bonta wrote in his court filing. This is a form of discrimination on the basis of sex and would therefore violate both the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment and Section 221.5F of the California Education Code. The Department of Justice's letter adds, scientific evidence shows that upsetting the historical status quo and forcing girls to compete against males would deprive them of athletic opportunities and benefits because of their sex. Therefore, you cannot implement a policy allowing males to compete alongside girls, because such a policy would deprive girls of athletic opportunities and benefits based solely on their biological sex in violation of the Equal Protection Clause, Dillon wrote. Dillon is clearly an illogical idiot. Dillon's letter concludes by demanding that California's schools and the CIF certify in writing that they will be in compliance with the demands and ban transgender athletes by 5 p.m. Monday, June 9th, a deadline that has already passed. On June 9th, California filed a lawsuit against Attorney General Pam Bondi and Harmeet Dillon in their official capacities. They should have filed against them both in their civil engagement and their civil personalities. But again, I digress. As part of the lawsuit, the state requested that the court implement an injunction upon the Department of Justice's demand letter. The letter itself comes after a 16-year-old transgender student from Europa Valley High School competed on the girls' track team at a state track and field competition. So in other words, this is all about one athlete, just one. Her involvement reached the attention of conservatives who scathed at the idea of a trans girl competing in girls' sports. Pumpkin Führer Trump attacked her directly, labeling the teenager's participation as not fair and demeaning to women and girls, just as much as Trump is demeaning to pumpkins and oranges, but we did, again, digress. Trump is also threatening to withhold federal funding from public schools in California as a result. Perhaps California should withhold all federal taxes as a result, and all of a sudden, all of the red states in this country would go completely bankrupt in a matter of a week. In response to this, CIF issued a rule change allowing any cisgender female student athletes to compete in the state championship if they would have qualified had a trans athlete not beaten them. That's the News Blast for this hour. If you're watching our videos on YouTube, please subscribe to the PEP Radio channel. Up next, we have the Meadville area weather forecast right here on PEP Radio.